Okay, so for part two, one of the big things is I guess I'm very I'm more aware than I've ever been of how quick I am to just shut down the moment I think that people are stupid or don't match me on an intellectual basis. And that's an Aquarius thing. It's very arrogant. Like I get it, and I don't know. It's not necessarily healthy. It's definitely something I've been working on to be what, for lack of a better phrasing, like a patient teacher. Like a lot of my reflections or ramblings or like raw writing, raw thoughts, raw feelings, there's a lot of anger with the immaturity or ignorance of the world. And I think that that anger is really seen when I start venting and rambling about things that I get really passionate about. And so I know like around that time, I was like trying to like figure out like what words do I use? How do I introduce myself? Like I had been practicing witchcraft for 3 years, but people thought that that meant that I've only been 3 years in the craft, and I didn't quite explain my background to people. I've never really quite explained that. I've kind of told people like, yeah, like I guess I'm a baby witch, because that's what people were saying, not because I felt that way. But I was like, well, I'm trying to use this phrase that's hot on social media to explain a novice, and I just thought it was funny. Like, oh yeah, I'm a little baby witch. Like and you can pass off responsibility that way. Especially at the time, I was big on deflecting certain responsibilities. Like I was a brand new scientist and I am experimenting, but people thought that meant I had no knowledge, background knowledge. I've been studying my whole life. I've always been interested in these topics, and I've read a lot of books, and that was something that people made fun of me for. Oh, look, she's read a lot of books, guys. Yeah, well, I don't know how else to explain to you that I am a experienced reader. When I said I was a baby witch or practicing witchcraft or new to practicing witchcraft, I meant like actually actively, consciously doing spells. I knew I had background information. Like I knew the ins and outs. It was kind of this decision like, hey, this is real. I can do something. This is tangible. I can become the magician. I don't just have to read about this stuff. This is something that I am and can become and can get good at. So it's like knowing all the technicalities of a sport without actually playing the sport. And I know that that's different. In 2019, that's when I started practicing and implementing things actively into my daily life. But that doesn't negate all the years of study. So you don't get mad or put down a medical student for what they know, but they are definitely different than a doctor who's been in there. And so like there is like a humbling in that sense of like, yeah, I knew all this stuff in theory, but not quite in practice. But I did also have a few years of stuff in practice. But anyway, my whole point of all of that is when I was criticizing Witchfoot's book, okay, is I've already read all of these like beginner friendly books, and I think a lot of people were seeking something new, something more, which is why they asked her to write the book, is because she had this huge following. She seemed to be really knowledgeable, all of these things, and I just never felt that way about her. I felt her to be very surface level. I feel a lot of people on witch talk or social media or in the new age movement or a lot of modern practitioners, I think a lot of people are stuck in the shallow end, and that's where they're safe. That's their safety zone. That's where they are, and it's really no judgment. But I felt like Witchfoot was a big time creator of the shallow end, and that doesn't mean she didn't have any depth to her. This is how I felt about her during her every social media video that I watched, the few that I watched of her book felt that way. Now, people made fun of me because I didn't read her book cover to cover. Okay, I want to be that very clear. I read parts of her book. I didn't read it from cover to cover. I did not buy it. And that was a huge criticism of how can I review a book that I didn't read. And this goes back to me being an avid reader. When you are an experienced reader, it does not take long for you to like skim through a book, read through a book, flip through a book. and know that it's not for you and it's going to waste your time because you're an avid reader. You know yourself and you know what you've read. So when it came to her stuff, I felt like it was a regurgitated compilation rewrite of Scott Cunningham and all these other beginner encyclopedia based books. And that's like not a criticism to her, but we don't need that in our modern world. We have enough of those style books. If someone's going to do that, they need to add in their own personal experience, their own anecdotal wisdom. It needs to be more personal. There needs to be more depth to it. And that's what I was trying to criticize and get at, is like, you're claiming to be this big, powerful witch and you're creating this huge book and there's so much hype about it. And it was nothing new. And if you liked Witchfoot and you wanted to support her, I get that. If you found benefit from the book, awesome. You probably didn't read the 50 other similar beginner books that I read or saw or someone else read or whatever. Okay, like, it's not about who had the better book. I think a lot of people see opportunities for money and money grabs, especially in the spiritual self-help realm and healing realm of things. And I think that there are a lot of predators out there. I'm not necessarily saying that Witchfoot is or was a predator. I just did not vibe with her, and she was not someone that I wanted to support. But this is getting long, so I'm going to go to part 3.